Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Hey, welcome back. We are picking up on Rule 5 and Rule 6 of Want to Be Free, follow these 6 rules. And we're going to jump right in on Rule number 5. And Rule number 5 is something I have to say, it's very simple, but it's also incredibly powerful if you internalize it and don't try to overanalyze it.
That's right. So rule number 5, we're talking about rules for getting rich and free. Rule number 5, accept the fact that the more people you help accomplish their goals, the richer you will become and the more freedom you'll experience. You will only become rich and free when you become of service to others. Not rich and free? Well, develop a product or a skill set that others are willing to pay for and then multiply. In other words, provide value. When you're rich and free and the economy tanks, for example, you can buy assets at a discount. You can help people who might not have been able to help themselves. In other words, you have different choices when you are rich and free. And the only way to get there is to provide something valuable enough for people to not just pay for once, but want to refer all of their friends to, so that you can lather, rinse, repeat, providing that skill and getting paid as a result.
Now, check your mindset. Do you believe that most people that are rich inherited their wealth? If you do, that's not correct. Do you believe that most people that have wealth are somehow gaming the system or stole it? That's, not correct either. I'm sure there's some exceptions to that one, but you guys get the point. The reality of it is most people that have what you want are living a life that you would like to live, that are experiencing the things you would like to experience. The main thing that they're doing differently is they're not any luckier or smarter or prettier or taller or skinnier. All they're doing, the essence of what they're doing, is they're providing something to other people that enough other people are willing to pay for, that in turn is producing a lot of wealth for that person. That's really it. And here I'll break it down, make it even more interesting. We used this example the other day, but I think it is salient. Mm-hmm. There's this new Tom Cruise, the new Top Gun movie coming out, right?
Yeah, can't wait to see it.
Hopefully it's not terrible.
Hopefully it's not terrible.
Wouldn't that be terrible if it was terrible?
After we waited how many years?
That was made in the 80s.
I know.
Okay.
I know. Well, and even, the original one,
when we were in high school,
When
Joey.
we were in high school. And that if you guys haven't seen the original Top Gun, you should, because it's pretty badass.
Totally.
But even the new one was supposed to come out in 2020, and the pandemic wrecked that trajectory. So we've been waiting for the new one, too.
So Tom Cruise is famous for getting paid a whole bunch of money in the front end and a whole bunch of money in the back end, right? So he gets money off all kinds of residuals and, let's say it's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars. Just assume. Why the hell is Tom Cruise getting paid that much money? Why? Does it even make any sense? On the surface, it doesn't. You watch the movie and you think, I could do that. And you know what? You probably could.
You might.
You
might even think, well, how is that fair? It's so unfair that these actors and actresses make so much money.
The fair word. Watch yourself on that one. Well, here's why. Because when evidently, in the past, 35 years of Tom Cruise's movie career, he's built up a following and a fan base. And people are, like Julie and I were just, remembering back when we were kids in high school watching Top Gun for the first time. These are so what happened over the generations. Basically, Tom Cruise has earned the right to charge an extraordinary amount of money if you want him in your movie.
That's right.
And so he's made enough people feel a certain way. All right, I'll keep it and I'll make it more practical. Let's say there's a top producer in your office in your town and you're wondering, what is that person really doing? And in your mind, you're saying, well, they somehow have connections. They're connected to the community. They're part of the PTA. That you guys are many of you are looking for little paths to this person's success that you, for some reason, think are going to be close to you. You think that in some way that person is using it inside, gains.
Insider trading.
Right, exactly, to gain an advantage on the marketplace. And the reality of it is they probably over time have built an advantage to themselves in the community. But the real reason why they are in the position that they are is because they have done for many years what they didn't want to do, and they didn't want to do it at the highest level. And as a result of that, they've serviced enough clients, enough sellers in most cases, and buyers obviously, that those people are now sending them referrals. They're able to build their business based on past performance because they've helped enough people. So now they're experiencing abundance in their lives, abundance of opportunities, of leads, of listings, listings of money, that comes from them having helped a lot of people previously. Now, if you're new in the business and you haven't had that, you don't have that big war chest of experience, don't worry about it. You can outwork. If you basically have energy and you have enthusiasm and you're willing to do what you don't want to do and you don't want to do it at the highest level for, 2-3 years.
And build your skills along the way.
You will easily outpace an agent that's been active in the business for 10 years. Easily.
It's true.
Because at the end of the day, you will have come in contact with more people when you're following a scripted process, and you'll have been of service to more people. You'll have helped more people. And the accumulation effect of having helped all those people will make you rich because it'll provide more opportunity for you. Because this is really the bottom line. Stop being envious of the person that just drove past you in the Ferrari. Think to yourself, if I want that Ferrari, I have to be of service to more people so that I'll have an abundance of money, and with that money, if I choose to, I can get a Ferrari. That's the correlation. If someone has what you want, it's simply because they have done something that you are thus far unwilling to do, or at least unwilling to do as frequently as they're willing to do it.
And perhaps you have, until now, not recognized the fact that it's that frequency and that skill building that is what it takes. Because until now, you may have been telling yourself, well, they must be cheating. They must have some other relationship. They must be given that. They must have inherited it. Don't hand yourself these made-up objections because, first of all, statistically, it's untrue. So you're just believing a lie. And secondly, they earned it. So instead of, you use the example of the person driving by in the Ferrari, instead of saying, being envious and having weird feelings about that, ask yourself, I wonder how somebody gets there. Well, what have they done that I haven't done yet? And how can I do more of that at a higher level?
So here's a little check for yourself. When you're seeing somebody that has accomplished something, do you feel happy for them? Do you feel almost admiration for them? Or do you feel jealous of them? Do you feel like somebody's taking something away from you? Do you feel like because they've got that, you can't get something else? You got to monitor your internal dialogue and your emotions when you see something. Is it the resentful feelings? Because what that creates is a closed mind to learning how to be of service to more people. So if you struggle with the idea that somebody, or they have a lot more than you, or a little more than you, or they have more success, more love, more health, more happiness, if at the end of the day you struggle with accepting the fact it's simply for the fact that they've been of service to more people, that very struggle is what's going to prevent you from actually moving forward. Because what we just told you is incredibly simple, right? We just give you a philosophy of life that's incredibly simple. The more people you help accomplish their goals, the more of your goals you will accomplish. That's the whole formula for becoming rich.
That's right.
It's not more complicated than that. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, you can think about your own life, right? People probably ask you for referrals all the time. You just don't even acknowledge that you're giving a referral, right? So maybe I'm new to town and I got to find a new vet. I'm going to ask my friends, right? Who do you take your dog to? You just gave a referral. You wouldn't have done that if your vet did a crappy job with your dog, right? It's the people who do a great job that continuously get those referrals. And then I'm going to go there and somebody's going to ask me and I'm going to keep this thing going.
It's like these little simple rules that Julie and I give you as far as our coaching program. One of the rules is furiously fast lead follow-up.
Yes.
That's a very, very simple rule. You get a lead, you call the lead back furiously fast, call, not anything else. And then you pre-qualify that lead using our script. You're vetting to see what their levels of motivation are, determining if they're actually a seller that's showing up in your life as representing themselves as a buyer, right? Because they're calling about a house for sale, say, for example. And then you determine they're actually a seller who's pricing their house they're thinking about putting for sale against your new listing or the new listing that came available. When you start looking at the market that's full of opportunity like that, you're going to move faster and you're going to help more people versus what most agents do. They get a lead and they never call them back.
Well, how many of you...
Or they put them in a drip campaign.
That's right. So how many of you fall into that category right now as you're listening to us? Is your voicemail full? Or did you just go through your voicemail and delete anybody who sounded to you like just another buyer lead because you didn't bother to call them and ask them which home in the area do they plan on selling? Or even worse than that, did they end up in your double opt-in drip campaign and you haven't even seen them because they're going to lead Never Neverland?
The one thing that should have become incredibly clear to all of you within the last 12 months, the era of the passive lead generation-based real estate practice is effectively dead. You're not going to be able to move forward if your business is all built on buying business, because you're going to soon discover, if you've not discovered it already, The lead quality is going down, the cost is going up. That's what happens. It's called oversaturation. That happens with anything that's, it happens with technologies, it happens with services, it happens with everything. It happens in the coaching business, right? It happens in every industry. But the selling leads to, to agents business is massively oversaturated. It's when you guys complain that the lead quality sucks when you buy leads from Pick Your Company, it's because the lead quality sucks. Because the leads that they're selling to you guys now are harder to get, more expensive to get, and they're having to monetize those leads by selling them to more agents. So not only is the quality of the lead worse, but the number of agents that are also chasing that same lead. And here's the thing that always makes me, laugh or cry. I'm not sure which. So you guys pay money to get a lead from, say, Zillow. And that lead is also oftentimes, if you're not responding fast enough, being sold to other agents, right? But what makes you think that same lead did not actually fill out lead forms for other lead selling widgets? So not only are you competing with other Zillow agents, but you're also competing with that for that same lead. If that lead also then went to, say, 3 or 4 other little opt-in forms and also shared their information, some sort of that.
And that also assumes that they're both motivated, qualified, and not already working with someone.
That's the asininity, I just made up a word, of buying buyer leads in particular. That's the reason that you guys have to be realizing and accepting and stop struggling with essentially the only way forward in this business, especially with what's going on geopolitically right now, is going to become a listing agent. And we definitely are going to show you everything it takes for you to become a powerful listing agent. We're talking about how to list notice defaults, absentee owners, expired listings, unrepresented owners, aka for sale by owners, probate listings. There's so many fantastic sources of business for you to be going after that are listing leads. You've got to be in a mode at this point where you're waking up in 2012 or 2022 and almost March, and you're realizing, I do not have enough business. I do not have enough listing leads. This is different than what I've experienced in the past. It's because the market has changed. Are you changing with the market, or are you just hoping and praying that what you did in the past is going to work? Because it's not. Or if it does, it's not going to work at the same level. Things have changed incredibly fast. You have to catch up. Many of you're frankly not going to have a very good year because you're waiting too long. You're hoping and you're praying that what you did in the past as far as passive lead generation is going to save your bacon, and it's not. Stop waiting around for business to be sold to you. Go after it. Get it. Learn the skill set to go out there and be of service to other people, so in turn you will then have an abundance of opportunities and wealth in your life. And the easiest way for you to learn what to say and how to say it, and the complete system, is to join our Premier Coaching Program. Our Premier Coaching Program is designed for agents that are out of the gates, no longer want to get ready to get started. They actually want to learn how to be proactive lead generators and how to build consistent, profitable real estate practices. Just simply text the word Premier to 47372. Text the word Premier to 47372. And you can join our Premier Coaching Program for around $100 a month, just choosing, depending which path you choose. So text the word Premier to 47372. And remember, message and data rates may apply.
That's right. So rule number 6, parts of this are going to sound familiar. We've touched on them in previous points, but I want you to focus on the word choice and own it, because rule number 6 is this. If you're not yet rich and free, it's because you're choosing to be poor and dependent. You are making that choice. Someone else has not made that choice for you. Obviously, some people were born on third base and act like they hit homers, but stop thinking that the vast majority of millionaires and billionaires aren't self-made. We just talked about that. Stop being in conflict with why someone's rich. They're rich because they're providing something to enough other people that those people are willing to pay for, thus producing enough profit that they are now rich. If your primary aim is your immediate safety and security and 2 weeks off for vacation, and that's the only contribution you're willing to make, in other words, minimum effort to maintain comfort, if your every waking moment is seeking comfort, you have chosen to be dependent. And in real estate, this means things like choosing to never hear the word no, choosing to not experience rejection because you're not asking for business.
Well, it's mostly the buying of the buyer leads. It's anything that's passive,
but it's
right?
not putting yourself in the place to grow and learn and, have more contacts and more appointments. So you've chosen perhaps to be a slave to your own limiting beliefs. We mentioned the Social Security Administration says 95% of people retire being dependent either on the government or a family member, but that's a choice. So yes, obviously everybody in life, your first aim is your safety and security, paying your bills. Yes, but that should be stage 1. That's not cruising altitude. That's just getting by. You can do that with a normal job. You didn't get your real estate license to do that. You got your real estate license to move forward faster in life.
What we're going to experience over the next, I would say, 5 years, based on what we're seeing, is an exponential growth of opportunity, but also an exponential, I would say, I don't even know what words to use. I haven't formulated all this in my mind, but we're going to see a rapid decline of a lot of the systems that people have taken for granted as far as real estate business models.
Yeah,
and they're just going to fall off the face of a cliff, almost like you wake up one day and what happened to all those lead generation companies? They're just going to all go out of business. You're going to see some of these big teams that are all predicated on being Zillow Flex agents. We're picking on Zillow a lot today, but they deserve it. Yeah. Well, they're going to go out of business too.
Ask for it, yeah.
They're not going to pivot fast enough. They're going to have all these fixed costs. All these agents that have spent so much time branding and marketing. I was talking with someone yesterday, actually, and he has a huge amount of YouTube videos. And his YouTube videos will get 1,000 or 2,000 views, which is really good. But then in the real estate space, it's good. In a normal YouTube influencer space, it's terrible. I mean, we have friends here in Puerto Rico, guys, who are getting over 1 million views on their YouTube videos. That's incredible.
Not real estate people.
Not real estate people, like J House, if you guys want to check that one out. It's kind of like a modern day
totally
Cosby
different
show.
space, though.
Yeah, but it's great. Yeah. Totally different space. Anyway, it's interesting.
It is.
So moral of the story here is that I was talking with this guy yesterday, and he'd spent, I don't know, 3 or 4 years making videos. He spent a lot of time producing these sound effects and all this
done stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and he was his goal was to try to obviously establish himself as being the dominant agent in this particular market, and just did a lot of really hours. When you watch a 30-minute video, or even listen to a 30-minute podcast, there's probably into a video, someone's probably put in an easy 3 or 4 hours into that video. Not, that's just preparing it and doing all the Mickey Mouse back end and front end work. So we're looking at thousands of hours, this guy's YouTube channel. And he was telling me that his views have dropped off. He told me his lead generation has dropped off. Essentially, all the work that he put into all these videos, the effort is not equaling the result. And here's what really was paining him to admit, is that it never did. He was doing all of this video making and all this social networking and all this, influencer creation content stuff, anticipating that over time, the accumulation effect would work in his benefit. In other words, his keywords, his tags, his fancy titles, and all the rest of it would accumulate into this, sea of consistent opportunities and leads, because so many people were watching videos to learn about his market. I mean, this was it conceptually. It's not a bad concept, but he had not thought through it. And here's the thinking through it, which he was now living, and what we've been telling you guys for years. Never build your mansion or your house or your business. Don't get stuck on the word mansion. Don't get triggered. Okay. On land you do not own. That's it. Don't build your business on land you don't own. Don't build your house on land you don't own. And that's what he did. And that's what so many of you have done. And all it takes is, look how frequently, if you've been paying attention for more than 5 seconds, look at all the companies that have come and gone that have been social networking companies. And I don't want to get on my soapbox, but all of you who spent so much time, doing all this media content creation, believing these malarkey salespeople that are out there, these fake coaches out there telling you that that's the way forward, the mass content creation sort of theme, or the big hype fest around Gary Vaynerchuk was pushing that. That was almost 10 years ago. And yet so many agents are still getting in the business thinking that their mission in life is just to create this big sea of content. Guys, it doesn't work. Now, here's where it gets confusing. You're going to hear somebody say, I got this lead from Facebook. They may have gotten someone to message them from Facebook, but the real lead would have come to them had they called them anyway, or because the neighbor who they did sell the house for was essentially referred them.
It's almost always, it's probably 98% of the time past client or center of influence, or a friend from high school, or somebody that knew you from Facebook, for example.
Which in itself is great, but in itself also, it's crazy, because had you just called that center of influence and past client person, you would have gotten that lead a hell of a lot quicker and not left it up to the, that potential seller, the neighbor, to, have searched you out on Facebook and found you through Facebook. Yeah. But what an agent will do is they'll just assume that they got the lead because of their Facebook content or whatever. They don't ask the secondary question, is there any other reason that you called me today? And what they do, if they find that out, is they will soon discover that they are getting that lead specifically because it was a referral.
Yeah, they just happen to find you via Messenger.
Right. There's only 8% of all leads that are generated for any form of marketing. That's something the marketing people will never tell you. Virtually all business comes from the other two major sources, which all comes from you having been of service to other people. I'll go through this analogy relatively quick. So I always have to remind myself that some of you are new listeners to our podcast and you just discovered Julie and I. Here's I'd say this decision-making tree. Let's say Julie talked about a vet earlier, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to hire a vet. You move to a new town. You've got a little French bulldog, and the French bulldog has got some sort of funny limp. And you move to this new town and you've got to, find a vet. The first thing you're going to ask yourself in this new town is, do I personally know a vet? Do I have any personal experience with a vet in this town? The answer is no, you just moved there. So the next thing you're going to do is you are going to ask a trusted friend or advisor. You're going to ask somebody locally maybe that has a French bulldog. Who do you use as your vet? You're going to then ask for word of mouth, right? You're going to ask people's advice. You're going to go to people you know, love, and trust and ask them for a referral. And then if they don't know anybody, then you might respond to an ad.
That's exactly how it works.
It is exactly how it works for everything. When you're making a decision, when your potential sellers are making decisions or buyers are making decisions on who they should use, that's the same filter or the decision-making tree that they too climb up and climb back down. Mm-hmm. And if you're spending all of your time and your effort doing essentially what lands into the least productive bucket, the less than 8% of everyone who's going to find a lead from any sort of marketing and advertising, you're going to not only spend all of your money trying to generate business from that little, single-digit source, but you're also going to frustrate yourself because you're going to be beating your head against the wall constantly because that's what every other agent does. Because they don't know the truth. We just told you the truth. Had you gotten into real estate and you'd heard what Julie and I just told you, how many things would you have not have done? How much money would you have saved because you knew it was, again, your, asininity?
Yes, that's right. And in fact, the quality of relationship that you get when I already know you, right? So if you hadn't relocated, not known a vet, you would have said, who do I already know? Oh, I'll go to, that vet. I've been there before. I already know them. Okay. And then if not, I ask for a referral. So that quality, because you referred that to me, I automatically trust you, don't I? I might not even ask for an additional source. You might not have to compete for that business. When you concentrate on buying the business at that 8% that might respond to whatever your social media is or your direct mail or whatever you're spending money on, don't I already have some kind of automatic suspicion almost?
You're a skeptic.
I'm a skeptic. I'll try you out. I don't know you from anybody, but you had a pretty postcard or whatever.
And those are the people that show up in your life and try to beat you up on commissions.
That's right.
Yeah,
because they have no reason not to. They're trying you out. They're going to see how you react. They're testing you. They're putting you through more filters. And by the way, you're probably not the only one they're talking to.
Inflation's rising. There's a record low number of homes for sale. New construction finally starting to increase, so that's
Thankfully.
Good. But what we're going to be experiencing because of all the different things that are happening in the world right now is going to be a changing of the guard of the people who are successful in real estate. We've seen this phase happen before. It doesn't happen fast. It happens slow over a number of years. But the agents that are in brokerages, frankly, that have commanded the top position, they're going to, if they don't change quickly, and they never do, you're going to see that the top producing agents in your marketplace are not going to be the same agents. They're not going to be the top producers in the next 24 to 36 months because they're not going to change quick enough. They're going to ride the ship down into the bottom of the ocean. In other words, they're going to say, I know that my buying of leads and my branding and all my social networking, that's what I just am firmly in the I go to the church of buying business, and I believe that's what's going to get me there. And so they're going to keep doing it even as it stops working even more so. And then they're going to have less and less profit. Then they're going to start spending their own savings, and then they're going to go out of business. And then they're going to call Julie and I. They're going to say they listened to this podcast, and they wish they wouldn't have run their businesses that way. We have experienced that cycle 3 times in our coaching industry, in our coaching careers. And it's going to happen again. We're already seeing it happen. Mm-hmm. So you guys got to wake up to the fact that some of you will call it getting back to the basics, but the reality of it is none of you really ever learned the basics to know how to get back to.
Well, they didn't really have to for a while.
Well, they didn't, because in
at a high level.
In a seller's market where there's a lot of sales velocity, where you can sell something out of FOMO, everyone wants to buy something, everyone wants to sell something.
And everybody's making money, let's be honest.
True.
That's part of it.
Great cash flow covers up bad business decisions.
That's right.
Just does.
Yes.
When you've got a lot of money coming in, if you made some bad business decisions, the cash flow that's coming in is going to more than compensate compensate. And that's how a lot of businesses have been operating, especially in the real estate industry. As soon as that changes, when the cash flow starts to slow down, then people start going, what the hell's happened? And here's the problem. Ultimately, you've got to be consciously and constantly monitoring whether you are being complacent and just trying to keep yourself in a state of comfort, or whether you're evolving and changing. And you have to accept the fact by tracking numbers that the things that you were doing in the past probably aren't working at all, or not working at the same level to get you the results that you need to justify that expense. Change with the times. What we're moving towards is a business that's going to be dominated by people who are skills-based, who know how to have high-frequency conversations at a high frequency. Yes. That's where it's going. I promise you guys, you're not going to be able to shortcut it with a bunch of TikTok videos.
That's right. So if you don't know what to say, how to say it at a high level of saying it, right? Not just now and then, but actually being super proactive, well, guess what? We can help you with that.
You're not too busy. You lack confidence. And once you have the confidence, once you know what to say and how to say it, you're going to be excited to do the work. And that is what it is. It is work. But when you start seeing consistent results from it, you make consistent money, and you stop being dependent, you start feeling yourself feel free from having to buy business and having to, essentially worry whether or not you got enough YouTube videos up or whatever it is that you've been manipulated into believing that you're supposed to be spending a lot of your time on. When you actually are liberated from that and you realize what Julie and I have been, hopefully, the knowledge we've been imparting on you guys, that if you are to believe and accept the fact that your existence on this planet is a direct mirror of the services you provide for others. In other words, the more people you have helped them accomplish their goals, the more of your goals you will accomplish. When you accept that and you live by that, then what's going to happen is you're going to start asking yourself, how can I be of more service to more people? Okay, there's leads, but how can I actually be of a higher service? How can I actually help those people solve problems? It's not just a lead generation game. It's a pre-qualifying game. It's understanding how to help people solve their problems. And then it's actually knowing how to solve the problems at a high frequency. That's what we coach people to do. And when you do that, especially during times of change, all the other agents that are stuck in the mud trying to social network their way to enough leads that somehow that's going to compensate for their lack of skill, those are the agents that go out of business, and you get the business they otherwise would have had.
That's exactly right. So take action and make sure that you are getting help from us, obviously, because we know how to get you there faster.
And guys, do consider, because now is the time. Well, actually, in the past was the time, but now is the best time.
Second best time.
Right, exactly. Become a Premier Coaching client. All you have to do is text the word Premier to 47372. Text the word Premier to 47372. And when you do, we're going to text you back a link, and you can join Premier Coaching. And you can join for around $100 a month. And we give you a daily semi-private coaching call. You get all of our checks, all of our scripts, all of our checklists, all of our presentations, every single thing you need to do to scale up a very profitable, consistent real estate practice. Text the word Premier to 47372. And remember, message and data rates may apply. Here's your homework. Ready? Don't watch the news this weekend. Seriously. Right. You guys need to be media free this weekend. The war gore and the war porn is going to be at a fevered pitch. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, they are all over it. They've been hoping and praying that the gorier the picture, the more they're going to plaster it all over, because they know that's going to be clickbait. As soon as you start watching that crap, then your brain's going to want more of that crap, and then you're going to be off mission. You're no longer going to be focusing on helping other people.
Yeah, but there is a silver lining to the fact that many people will be at home watching how this all folds out. Call them. They're at home.
That's right.
Okay. Get to work.
And just FYI, we're coming up on a change of the month, right?
Yes. End
of the month, beginning of the month.
Expired Palooza.
Exactly. So guys, be of service to other people. That is your mission on this planet. Helping other people is your mission on this planet. You will feel the best about yourself, incredibly alive, happy, vibrant when you are helping other people. When you spend too much time in front of screens, or thinking about yourself, or being suckered into these ego activities like social networking, you're not being of service to other people, and you're not actually going to create a life that you otherwise could have. And this is, frankly, guys, when there are the greatest times of change in history, have created the greatest opportunities for those who are actually willing to step away from the fray and step into the mode of being of service to other people. That is your time. Don't be tweeting. Don't be reading bad news. Just focus on who can you help. Know in the back of your mind that on the other side of that relationship with life, the fact that you are somebody here to help other people accomplish their goals, if you stop resisting that basic knowledge, when you stop resisting it, you stop thinking that somehow rich people somehow cheat or any of these other myths that you guys believe about wealth accumulation. Let all that stuff go and realize that the more people you help, the more of life you're going to experience. Hey, you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll talk with you on the podcast on Monday. And again, thank you for continuing to make this number one listened to daily podcast for real estate agents in the United States. Love and prayers for everyone who's in Ukraine, especially right now. But your mission, real estate practitioners, is to go out there and be of service to other people. Have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show. Anytime, if you want to listen to any of our replays, we have thousands of podcasts waiting for you to listen to on iTunes, Stitcher, all the other places. And again, thank you for continuing to make this the number one listened to, number one downloaded podcast for real estate professionals all over planet Earth. Have a fantastic day.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.